Do you want to take your wheelies to that next level? And actually learn how to wheelie at balance point? And even take it past balance point? And even do so in a knee knocker? Let me tell you, it's all in the rear brake. And in this video, I'm gonna break it down for you. All jokes aside, I'm gonna let you know everything I know about the rear brake and how you actually learn it the safest way. Let's go. Do you ever get problems with like your fingers turning white when you ride? I don't know if it's the cold or the vibrations through the handlebars that does it, but mine can get really bad. No, it's just that tip. Anyways, I'm here at my private lot in the woods, a closed off road with the owner's permission so we can really stretch our wings and ride freely. And today, we're gonna talk about the rear brake. And just a 10-second disclaimer before we even start. I hope that you have fresh brake fluid, fresh brake pads, and a functioning brake disc, and the lever is set up at a comfortable position. Mine is kind of level with the foot peg. So, you wanna learn the rear brake, and I know that it's super scary when you start to get even close to balance point. Your stomach turns upside down and you just panic. And even if you're able to hit the brake, you hit it like at the wrong time or too hard. I want to get you out of the mindset that you're gonna apply the rear brake only when it gets scary and into the mindset of being on it through the whole wheelie. So from the second that front wheel lifts off the ground, you're gonna be on it. And let me just clarify, when I say on it, I'm not talking about like on it and just counter all that brake pressure with heaps of throttle. That will just overheat your brake system and eventually set you up for brake fade. And that's when it gets so hot that the pads start to melt onto the disc and it just gets glazed and you lose all brake power. Or the fluids boil, which also makes the brakes go out. I'm talking about this. You see that play? That's like from not touching the lever to just activating it. That's where I want your foot from the second you clutch up. And why, you may ask? It's actually to program your brain that you're gonna steer the height of the wheelie with the rear brake and not so much by the throttle. I'm gonna show you how a good practice technique that I used in the beginning was to do a clutch up. And obviously I'm not gonna hit balance point because I'm a beginner, right? So I'm gonna clutch up to slightly below balance point, but I'm gonna stay on a slightly positive throttle. And by positive, I mean kind of a little bit too much throttle, so you're getting that upwards motion, right? And when I start getting close to balance point, I'm gonna start applying brake pressure, so I'm countering the throttle, but just a tiny bit, so you start to feel that control of height through the rear brake. I'm gonna show you. You do a clutch up and stay on the throttle, and all this, you see the bike's movement, it's all from different brake pressures. So this time, listen to the bike and see that my throttle hand is almost completely still. That's how I'm controlling the height of the wheelie, not by being choppy on the throttle, but by using different amounts of brake pressure. And just to show you how you actually don't need the rear brake until you're really past balance point, I'm gonna do a throttle coaster where you throw the bike past balance point and then you roll off the throttle and only use engine braking to not loop. So no brake. I didn't touch the rear brake. You saw that throttle coaster? I didn't touch the rear brake at all. And why did I show you that? Well, it's to ensure you that you have so much engine braking in a one-cylinder bike that all that fear you're feeling below balance point or even on balance point is not justified. It's only psychological. And I know that's not a small thing because the fear kind of like takes over your whole body. I remember it so clearly. But I'm telling you this so you can have the right mindset going into this, that you kind of like take that fear and place it beside your body, and now you can focus on how the bike feels. And I can give you another 2 quick tips about how to actually reduce those levels of fear you have initially when you're learning wheelies like this. 1, use proper safety gear. I'm having safety shoes, so if the bike lands on my shoe, it will not squish it. I also have a full safety jacket that has safety pads on my elbows, shoulders, chest and back. And as you can see, a dirt bike helmet, and some goggles. And the obvious gloves. The second thing you can do is to get a rickety ass bike like this that you're not afraid to drop. Or if you have a kind of semi-nice bike, you can put like axle sliders on it. And there's all kinds of protection you can put on your bike. Because honestly, if you're trying to learn how to do wheelies and you're already on a nice bike, you're just set up for failure, man. I'm just being honest. Choose the right tool for the job. Now, let's get back to those wheelies. So, we are on balance point and just playing around with different brake pressures to actually figure out the finesse point of the rear brake and how it really affects your bike. And this is called dragging the brake or riding the brake, and it will increase the temperature of your brake disc and pads. But as long as you're not really doing like a full throttle and then just a full brake, you will not get that brake fade. I think a lot of people that loop just use that as an excuse. I've been riding my brake through my whole wheelie progression and I have never gotten anything close to brake fade. So let's pop a wheelie. Kinda steady on the throttle, working that rear brake, really figuring out exactly how the bike will respond to different brake pressures. Also, try not to yank in the handlebars when you do the clutch up, because this is not a BMX bike. Your yanking will do nothing to improve your clutch up and everything to tire your arms. Look at this when I do nothing with my arms and the bike comes up anyways. It looks ridiculous when you don't move your upper body or arms at all when you do a clutch up. So I know it's kind of a more natural movement to do something like this. I'm just telling you that you really don't have to. Save that energy in your arms. And while we are on that subject of getting tiring your hands and arms, there are some things you can do to take that stress off of your hands and arms. And it's by placing the weight in the seat. So when you're in the wheelie, try to relax and just loosely grip onto the handlebars. Because you want to keep that dexterity in your fingers. If you're cramping too much or doing a wheel with completely straight arms, it's going to feel like you're reaching for that clutch. And this rolling off movement is going to be unnecessarily hard to do. Another pro tip is let the bike come up to you. So let the bike pivot around your hip. If this is you and this is the bike, do not follow the bike with your upper body. So let the bike come up to you like this. Man, I wish I had a third person view of this, but I'm just letting the bike come up to me. And what can help you riding position wise is arching your back and relax your hands and arms. And then you can go for a scrape. Hey. Now I want to talk a little bit about the bike's balance. When you're below balance point, you're just gonna have to worry about that up and down motion, right? So you're working on the rear brake and the throttle and how those two work together. But once you hit balance point and go past it, something happens. You open up the bike to side balance. And this will be like a whole new world for you. It was for me in the beginning. It kind of felt like I hit balance point and then the bike just fell in either direction. And I was just following it down. So the bike was actually riding me and not the other way around. And this takes some time getting used to. But eventually you will be able to relax into the seat. Try riding with slightly bent arms to stay loose, to avoid that static riding position where you cramp up, your arms are kind of straight, you're leaning back, you're just locked into the wheelie, and if the bike falls, you fall. And unfortunately, I can't really show you this from the POV, but I can try to do a wheelie where I stay kind of loose on the bike. So try to be like, I can look on either side of the bike, lean into the bike, lean back, and do a backfire coaster. Shift down. And another little golden nugget of a tip I can give you is where to keep your eyes to prevent you from freaking out once you hit higher heights. And that's to try to look through the bike or through the wheelie. Look at the horizon now, and once I pop the wheelie, keep your eyes there, like this. Keep it at the horizon, look through the wheelie, past the bike. And even more important, if you're going to do like a drop back like this, keep your eyes facing forward. Woo! Ah, nice! Because in the beginning I was following that handlebars or front fender or whatever, and when you're up here, every inch will feel like, I don't know, a whole yard. It kind of multiplies in some weird way in correlation to your fear. So what I discovered is if I just keep looking at the horizon and through the wheelie, it doesn't matter if your handlebars are here or up here, because you kind of like stay in contact with the world and the horizon, if you get what I'm saying. So how do you apply that rear brake in a knee knocker, which is kind of like that next logical thing you try out after you've mastered the sit down wheelie to a decent degree. So we're in a knee knocker and we bring it past, really past. Can we do coaster? Okay, let's talk about knee knockers. The first thing you need to think about when it comes to knee knockers, that the same principle that placing the weight in the seat applies. So make sure you're not putting any weight onto the right peg, because that will just make the bike go to the right. Right? So it really doesn't matter if you have like this portion of your leg on the seat or you actually have the knee. There are tons of variations to the knee knocker. But no matter which one you feel most comfortable doing, place the weight on that seat. A grippy seat cover like I have is almost a must if you're going to be doing anything past balance point. Because I know those stock seat covers can be slippery AF. So when I throw back my knee knockers in a drop back, it's kind of a tricky thing to stand on that right peg with your heel and then just use that rear brake with kind of like the front portion of your foot. It's kind of hard to explain, but you need to keep the weight on the seat, on the knee or leg, and then just have contact with the foot peg, with the shoe, and then actually still be able to maneuver that brake. And that was super hard for me to figure out in the beginning, because I was either too heavy on the peg or too freaked out by not feeling that I had like a good contact point with the brake. So think about that when we do this knee knocker. So I really can feel the weight on the seat, and I'm not so much on like the back portion of my foot weight wise. I'm just, there you go. It's like a weird feeling that I'm only like tapping it with my toes. And that, my friends, sums up my rear brake tutorial. I hope I gave you some useful tips in this video, because this is just all the knowledge and insights that I have accumulated through my whole wheelie progression. Lastly, I want to thank each and every one of you who commented on my last vlog. It means the world to me to know that you are out there, you share this passion with me, because you have to realize I don't have anyone to ride with. Do you see a lot filled with people here? Hello? It's just like, oh, that voice crack. Holy cow. It just echoed into the woods. Oh, okay. It's super cool that you're here. And if you like this video, let me know in the comment section below. And even more so, if you have any kind of questions about wheelie technique, the rear brake, or riding position, or how to deal with fear when you're learning wheelies, hit me up. I reply to everything. I mean, I love stunt riding and I love talking about it. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.